Hello everybody, my name is Marcus. I want to first start off by saying that my outline is on my monitor, so I will be looking up. I was running out of time, so typing it was the quickest way to do this. With that out the way, the art piece that I chose is called Mother and Cub. It was made by David Putnam, I'm not exactly sure how to say it, in 1995. And it was made for a program for the city of Antioch called Art in Public Places. And it depicts a mother bear and her cub in a natural environment. I feel like this artwork depicts a realistic moment that a mother and a cub would or could have in the wild. And it kind of emphasizes, I feel, the protection or protectiveness of a mother over her cub, and then the naiveness of a cub in the world around it. The artwork style is definitely representational because it is trying to, depict a real life bear and a real life cub. It's not trying to be, abstract. It's not trying to be fictional. It's not like a fake creature or anything like that. It's kind of trying to display real life creatures, and it does a very good job at that, in my opinion. The most important elements are texture. The texture, the materials used to create the sculpture, I believe, are bronze or like steel, metal, something like that. I was trying to find the materials online. I swear I couldn't, no matter where I looked. It's not listed anywhere that I could find. But going up and touching it and looking at it, and it felt pretty rough and cold, and it felt like steel metal. You know what I'm saying? I think they might have, or he might have used a wood as well, because I think the snout, it looks like sanded down wood. So maybe he mixed it up, or maybe that's also metal as well. I didn't touch the snout, so I'm not sure. And by the way, this artwork is in an open space. I'll show it in the pictures. It's not like I crossed any boundaries to touch it, and I didn't like damage it or anything like that. But the form and the mass are important as well, because like I said, it kind of represents the realistic mass of a bear, like the realistic presence of a bear, like especially the mother bear. She was very big, kind of still very, in a way, intimidating. If it was obviously a real bear of that size, definitely still intimidating. They're not like super small, they're pretty up to scale. And then the cub definitely gives off like a playful, like a little cub. But I heard cubs are dangerous as well because they're pretty strong. And then finally, the space between the mother and the cub kind of, I guess, puts emphasis on the interaction itself, because the cub is kind of leaning back in a playful manner, trying to get the mom's attention, while the mother is from the front. Okay, here's what I wanted to get into. From the side angle, it looks like the mother is very aware of the surroundings. Like, she's not exactly looking at her cub, but she's like paying attention to her cub, but like she's aware of the surroundings, of like danger or whatever. That's the vibe that I get. That's kind of what I see. But when you go in front of the mother and you look right at her in her face, she looks super happy. She looks very like she's just enjoying the moment. You know what I mean? So, but I think the way that the artist intended for you to see it is from the side, because I don't think that they would assume that people would walk right up in the middle between the mother and the cub. Or maybe he did, I'm not sure. But from the side, protective, vibe. In front, super happy, almost cartoon like, smile on the bear's face, I'm pretty sure, from what I remember. And then the most important design principles are balance, unity, and emphasis. Balance, again, because the mother was upright and the cub was reclining, relaxed, playful. Unity, all the elements, the texture, form, and the setting, it all works together. The mother and the cub, they don't seem out of place. They seem like they're in where they're supposed to be, like in a natural habitat. You know what I mean? And then emphasis, the connection between the mother and the bear. I feel like that's very prominent. Okay. The theme that I feel like this fits is family care and connection. You can kind of say all three. I said all three because I feel like it's hard to choose between them, because I feel like it represents each one equally. It kind of, focuses on the peacefulness of the moment, if that makes sense. And then the mood or feeling that I get from this, again, calm, comforting, in the front. On the side, a little bit of tension from the mother, and then playfulness from the cub. And then else did I say? If it had a soundtrack, I would imagine just like gentle nature sounds, you know, just like maybe like birds or like frogs. I don't know if that makes sense. I don't know if a bear would be around a frog, but that's kind of just like, you know, just like a natural, like a foresty vibe. But if I had to say like a song, it would be Curiosity from Curious George, if you guys know that. Anyways, that's a great song. The location affects how I view the artwork because it's outdoors and it's surrounded by nature. So again, they're in their natural habitat where they're supposed to be. And then community connection. The intended audience for this artwork is definitely the general public. It's art in public places. And I feel like it's more aimed at families because it depicts like a family, you know, like situation between the mother and the cub. And then its main purpose is to create a peaceful and emotional moment for the viewers. You know, it's supposed to be relaxing. It's not supposed to be super like crazy. Even though I said the mother does give protective vibes, it is supposed to be peaceful overall. That's definitely what the artist is aiming for. And then I feel like it does reflect the community because that neighborhood is very nice. It's very, you know, chill, open. You know, a lot of trees over there, a lot of bushes, nature. They take care of, you know, everything over there. So it's supposed to reflect like a nice, safe community or neighborhood. And then I feel like it might express the artist's personal aesthetic because, you know, it's thoughtful and emotional, and the artist wanted to capture a natural moment between the mother and the cub. And then some questions that I wrote down were that I would like to know what material the sculpture is actually made from, because I couldn't confirm it, even though visually I could, but I would like to actually know 100%. And then I would also like to know, how did David Putnam come up with the idea of the bear and the cub? Did he see this in person? You know, when he was younger, maybe he came across a mother and a cub and it just inspired him to do that. Or maybe it's something that he never saw and he wanted to see, and this was his way of doing it for him and others who haven't been able to see that. And then finally, are there more sculptures by Dave Putnam in Antioch? I didn't really do any research into that, and I think his work is great, so I would love to see more. I know this ran a little bit long. Oh, do I have to do Works Cited? I don't know if I have to say Works Cited. I'm going to say it just in case. Works Cited, Gentline, Mark and Kelly, Donahue, Wallace, Living with Art, 13th edition, McGraw-Hill Education 2024. Of course, that's our book. Preve Judith, Antioch's Public Art Program Adds Beauty to the Community, East Bay Times, 19 May 2020. www.eastbaytimes.com. I'm saying this just in case. And then finally, Smile Sam Sculpture, Oxford Art Online, Oxford University Press, 2003, www.oxfordartonline.com. That's everything. Thank you for listening to my presentation. I really did like this piece. I know this presentation ran, I think, double the time, but I was rushing. Thank you for listening.